What? Where?
Right.
Turn the fucking light on! Turn the stupid light on. Wait! Okay? Maybe, how about this? God damn it. God fucking damn it. You make me want to fucking kill myself.
Billy, all this is being recorded.
Hey, I know it's been a minute. Got a lot going on. But, yeah, we're on episode, I believe it's 3. And, hold on a second. Sorry. I have a headache. Episode 3, and this one is, it's going to be about isolation. So, you know, I don't know how many of you were single moms once or know anything what it's like to be a single mom, especially a young single mom. But I had my daughter when I was 16 years old, and life has been very, very hard. I've been through many jobs, and I tried to go to college. It was hard. So I had to make do with what I had, and I just had to keep working and struggle and to keep a roof over my head, food in her belly. And then when she was 9, her brother was born. So when I was 25, I had my son. And now I had 2 kids that I had to take care of. So I have worked their whole lives, many a times, 2, maybe 3 jobs at a time. I missed a lot of time with them so I could build a solid foundation for them. There were many times that I slipped and fell, and that's where my support system came in and helped me get back on my feet. And I was finally at a place where we were good, you know. I had a steady job. We were living in Troy, Michigan. Things were solid. You know, this first time I was ever able to provide my children with stability. My daughter, you know, she moved from school to school every single school year, but my son was actually able to stay put in the same school, all elementary school. So trying to give up something like that, something that I have been able to provide for my children, stability, is challenging. And especially giving it up for somebody that's in the United States military. But I did. And the job that I had, I quit after he proposed because we started making plans for us to come down to Georgia. And now this is where the isolation comes in, because, you know, before he was Mr. Perfect, doing everything so perfect. And shortly after we get to Georgia, that's when all the chaos started, and now my Jeep doesn't work, and I'm in this house away from all my support system, and I have no money, and I had to use the rest of what I had in my savings account, which is close to $4,000, maybe just over $4,000, to move all of my stuff, my whole house. Mind you, I had a whole house full of stuff that was mine and the children's. But I had to use all my money to move it down to Georgia. And, you know, Billy told me that, you know, there wasn't enough room at this house that he was looking at, so I had to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And that was really heartbreaking, because I had like 5 years worth of stuff that I had collected. I left behind, fridge, I left behind 5 contractor bags full of clothes, I left behind toys, furniture, odds and ends stuff, you name it. It cost me, out of my savings account that I had to deplete, so I didn't have any more money, $3,337 for the trailer. that doesn't include the gas money to drive both of my vehicles down to Georgia, or the food to eat. So yeah, isolation, removing me and my children and my pets from any support system that I will have, and then depleting me from any funds that I still had remaining that I always worked for, to make sure that I am heavily reliant on him. And he was so bad with money. He just was always telling me how broke we were. We lived paycheck to paycheck, and whenever I'd ask him where money went, he'd just say, it just goes. And I would get upset. I'm like, where does it go, Billy? And he'd say he didn't know. I wasn't ever allowed to look at the finances, that he just worried about it. That was concerning to me. So his sweet attitude turned into this very dark, ugly demeanor.
Same fucking thing.
Stop that.
Go fuck yourself. I fucking wait for you.
Very, very fast. Once I was secluded and away from everybody. There was, shortly after we moved in, a drive-by shooting, and that there was just a couple doors down. That was very, very alarming. And we lived off kind of like a main road. We lived also off a main road in the ghetto. He didn't think too much of it, whatever. But then, that was probably what, the end of January. We moved there January 3rd. That was the end of January. February, he finds out that he has orders that he's deploying sometime around the end of February. He ended up leaving March 1st. Now that he's deploying, we find out he's deploying. I tell him that I want to move on post. I don't feel safe it just being my son and I and my dogs in a state that I don't know, in the ghetto, with, just having a drive-by shooting. He doesn't move us on post. He refuses actually to move us on post, and says, that he'll be over in Germany and I'll be here in Georgia, and that we'll both be fighting our own battles. Yeah, that is flat out what he says to me. So now he's isolating me from any resources that I could have while he's gone. I know nothing about post. I've only been on post one time at this point, and that's only to pick up his truck. I didn't know that I had any resources. I didn't even know that I could contact his chain of command if I needed anything. I knew nothing, and he prevented me from obtaining anything. So now he's getting really ugly angry, and I have videos and messages that I'm gonna place within this video, just to give some examples of him yelling at me and the kinds of things I went through. Back in January, February of 2022. I remember the first time that he actually got put in a cool down room. I didn't know what that was either. But now, all of a sudden, my Jeep went from not working, that when Rylan started school, I had to have a running vehicle. Now all of a sudden it works out of nowhere. It was the very last time when Billy was like, oh, let me see something, when we had to bring home my Jeep from when it broke down at the Food Lion, and it sat there for 4 days. Billy tried not bringing it back at all, and then I was like, oh, that's right, I have roadside rescue, and they towed it all the way back, and my Jeep came back damaged that day, and I'm gonna post videos of that. Billy and I got in an argument over, I don't even remember, I don't even know what it was. Something that he was upset at me for. I'm sure I probably mentioned putting fries in the toaster oven or something. You know, I couldn't speak freely to him because anything I said, I got screamed at for. But he ended up walking out on Rylan and I. And so now I have a working vehicle. Rylan wanted some Little Caesars breadsticks. So we tried to stop at the Little Caesars here in Hinesville, and it was just so jam-packed. And so I found the next closest one was in Richmond Hill. And so I was like, you know what? I was like, why don't we go for a ride? And so we did. We drove out to the one in Richmond Hill. And but by the time we got back, you know, I pull up in the driveway, I park, and we're sitting there just kind of like chilling. I always chill in the car before I like go back in the house. So we're sitting there, and I see, you know, I'm messaging Billy trying to see where he's at because I have no idea. He just left. I don't know. He doesn't tell me anything. He just leaves me and my son by ourselves in this house in the ghetto, you know, while he goes on post where he's nice and safe. A car drives by real slow, and then a different car drives by real slow, and then another car, and these cars all like do U-turns to drive by again. I'm kind of really concerned now, and I'm like, Billy, I was like, these cars just drove by, and then they flipped around. I'm like, oh, now they're parking, and these guys exit the vehicle, and now I'm super concerned. And so Billy's like, do you know what they look like? But by this time, they're out of their vehicle, and they tell me that they're looking for him. I don't know who they are. They don't tell me who they are. And I was like, you know, I tell them who I am, and that I don't know where he is. And then that's when they tell me who they are and that they're looking for him. And they ask me if I'm worried or if there's any domestic violence going on in the house. And I just started spewing word vomit everywhere, just everywhere. I couldn't help myself at this point. It was Sergeant Dotson, Sergeant somebody else, and somebody else. It's in the screenshots that I'm also gonna upload, the guys that came by. I let them know that he hasn't hit me, but he does break things in front of me and screams at me, you know, in the presence of my child, that my son has to stay in his room because I don't want him to see it. But even though he doesn't see it, he hears it, and it's severely affecting my son's mental health, my mental health. And I'm like, yeah, as I go, and he damaged my vehicle. My Mazda's sitting there. Billy, one of the times that Billy told me that he hopes I die.
You hope I die. All right, Billy. Drive safe. Drive safe.
He went out to my car and he knifed it. That was pretty cool of him. I showed them that damage. Billy has a knack for destroying things. And he doesn't care. And then he denies it. Even though there's proof that he does these things, he denies it. And then I tell him these things, and I tell him my worries and concerns, and they're like, okay, well, what we could do is we could put him in a cool-down room for 72 hours. And they explain to me what a cool-down room is. They say it's for situations where he's too heated, they're trying to prevent any domestic violence from happening. So I say that sounds great. They tell me that he's not going to be able to come home for 72 hours, blah, blah, blah. apparently the cool-down room isn't what I thought it was, because Billy was able to come and go as he pleased. He didn't have to stay in there. He really didn't get in trouble. And the cool-down room is basically for soldiers just to fuck off and go party. At least that's what Billy used it for, and still continues to use it for. And yeah, Billy was out in 36 hours and just showed up at the house after 36 hours without warning. Nobody gave me a number to call if I needed anything. Nobody did anything for me. You know, Billy's the one with the money. I have nothing. So again, no support. I have no one and nothing. And Billy has all the support. So he shows up and I tell Billy, I'm like, so much for 72 hours. I'm like, you know, what about my safety? And he goes, oh, you weren't in any danger. I'm like, okay, maybe I wasn't, but what if, you know, other wives, you know, what if they're in serious danger, their lives are at risk, and their husbands are just allowed to come home without warning, you know, a day before or 2 days before they're expecting him. You know, that's how family violence starts, or that's how wives get killed or spouses get killed. It's not right. The behavioral health, there's no behavioral health on post. There's no licensed psychiatrist on post. I'm fighting an uphill battle right now. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So fast forward, now he's in Germany, and he deploys, whatever. There's my son and I outside in our backyard, and we have a fire. We're with our puppy. Then my son and I hear this talking, and I stand up and I'm trying to listen, but it's pitch black in our backyard, and there's railroad tracks that bump up to our backyard. So I'm listening, but I stand up. I'm in between my neighbor's house now and my house, and I can see our street. And then all of a sudden you hear pa, 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 pa. And then now I'm in line with the shooter on the passenger side, and then he fires off one more, and that bullet whizzes by me. It's in between me and my neighbor's house. Yeah. Okay. So now. I get Bonnie and Rylan inside. There's no safe spot to sleep in the house, by the way. All the bedrooms are the front of the house, and bedroom windows are all front of the house. What is it called? The living room's the front of the house. So we had nowhere to sleep that was like safe. And so I let Billy know. He doesn't give me power of attorney while he's over there either, because he's worried about me controlling everything. So I have to wait for him to get anything done. I go to housing immediately, show them. Now I have cameras up. I show them the footage, and I let them know that my son and I were almost shot. This is a safety concern. And they're like, oh, well, you need your husband's signature. And they're like, or you need a power of attorney. So I tell Billy I need a power of attorney. So he only does a special power of attorney, but he's dragging his feet on getting it done because he sprained his ankle while he was training. And then he was waiting to see an x-ray that he knew he wouldn't have. And he has the audacity to tell me that I don't give a shit about his ankle, okay? I'm like, I'm sorry, but mine and my son's safety is prime next to your ankle. I was like, and I need this paperwork done. And he's like, no matter how much paperwork we do, we both know you're still going to be sitting in that house where I left you when I get home. still not trying to help us get into housing, even though I, his wife, was almost just killed. And now mine and my son's lives are at risk. And then he's getting really upset that I was threatening to leave the house with my son until he got home from Germany, because I didn't want to risk our lives anymore if he wasn't going to help us get on post. And he was like crying to people, saying that I was threatening to leave him. I wasn't threatening to leave him, but I should have. I was threatening to leave the house and not be there. Because why? Because my son's life and my life is important. But it wasn't important to him. And I've been reporting all this to FAP. I've been reporting all this to his chain of command. I've been reporting all the mental abuse, the psychological abuse, everything to everybody, and nobody is doing anything. And even now, there's financial abuse going on in the present situation. And I don't understand how these soldiers can uproot, their spouses' lives, and then take them from where they were steady and good and rooted, and then flip, their spouse and their children's lives upside down, single-handedly destroy them, and then leave them with nothing and expect them to rebuild from scratch on their own. And the Army lets them do this. The Army is 1,000% okay with this, and it's disgusting. And my husband is trying to do this to me right now. He's not getting his mental health taken care of. He's going to embedded, in a men's group, but that's not proper behavioral health. He's still throwing fits. Last time he was at the house, he stormed out because I was upset. Well, I was confused and questioning him why he was taking shots of Tylenol cold out of a shot glass. It was weird. And he got mad and left. And he was mad that I didn't jump because he has strep throat. But I've been having severe heart issues, and he's causing me major stress on my heart, and he knows I can't go see a doctor or a cardiologist right away, that I need a referral. I finally go see my primary care on the 24th, I believe it is, but he's purposely causing me stress to harm me. And the Army and his chain of command is 1,000% okay with this. And this is why I'm creating this docu-series. So stay tuned for more.